Hi, it's Keith. Welcome back to Life Journey Production Studios. It is 2021 and there's so much for us to explore and do together. So thank you for subscribing, like these videos if they're helping you out. Ring the bell if you'd like to hear what's coming out next. And join me today for an introduction to my son, Nathan. That's right, you met Bryson right here on the channel as we unboxed his mod for his A40 headset as well as his NZXT computer. And now my son Nathan's in town and he said, hey dad, let's shoot some high-key photographs of all my new mountain bike gear and my snowboarding gear. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So what's high-key photography? Well, low contrast, usually a white or a bright background like this SM7B on my white shirt. It causes it to pop where it wouldn't be as visible if it was just on an opaque or a multi-focusing background. So we're gonna take a journey into my garage. We're gonna look at some B-roll on my DJI Mobile version 1, some time-lapse on my DJI Action, explore some high-key photography lighting techniques to get rid of the shadows and create that low contrast, bright background. So if you stay tuned to the very end, I'll teach you some Lightroom techniques, as well as we're going to take a look at shooting some photographs on my B camera, which is my Canon 5D Mark IV, as well as a little trick in green screen in the garage as well. So stay tuned. Let's roll the video and take a look at high-key photography. Hey guys, welcome back to Life Journey Production Studio. I'm here with another one of my sons. This is Nathan, and he's here from California, and he's into mountain biking, he's into snowboarding. I would be too, but the tree stories, I'd hit a tree one time and I would be done. So we've been talking about showing some footage here on the channel, and then I'm also doing some footage for him for his social media for fun and just for his friends. And so we're actually, you can see the setup here as we're talking. We have his mountain biking gear out here, and we're going to take a photograph of this. And then we're also going to take a photograph high key of his snowboard gear, and we'll show you footage of that. Real quickly, I want to show you my setup. I have two FotoDiox Softboxes, and they're really nice. They got double diffusion. I have some Manfrotto stands. These are really nice because they hook together, so they're really compact, so you can stack them. And then there's the other softbox. I do have some overhead lights. I have 3 papers that I can hang up here. You can see this is the white. We're almost out of it. And behind that, I have some black and some green, and then I also have a gray. And so we're going to take a shot. I'm using a C-stand, and we're going to be shooting wirelessly from my iPhone, so I'm going to be snapping the shots once we get the Canon 5D, which you've seen here before on my channel. And not a lot of light, but there it is, getting ready to be tethered to my iPhone. And once we get it working right, then we're going to mount it right here. And that's the Manfrotto friction arm and the super clamp and the camera bracket right there. And the reason I have those, obviously, is because it gives me the ability to make the minor adjustments, and I use those in my studio all the time. So here's some behind-the-scenes shots of us shooting the photograph on my DJI Action camera. And so shout out to DJI. It's a great tool as well. And I'm going to actually be going around and giving you some B-roll as well with my little DJI Mobile gimbal. It's version 1. So you're going to see some equipment as well as some cool photographs when we're done, and maybe a little time-lapse video to go along with this. Okay, so the goal of this shoot is we're going to take my Canon 5D, and it is mounted up here on the C-stand. And I've got the Manfrotto super clamp right there, and I've got the friction arm, and it is shooting down, and I can change this on my phone. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a number of still shots of his gear, a few shots of him in pre-gear, and then the last shot's gonna be green screen. Believe it or not, it's gonna look like he's still laying down, getting those downward shots, but it's not going to be. It's gonna be a green screen faking a downward shot, and then all of a sudden, because it's on green screen, he'll be able to slide off the screen. You get to see the behind the scenes. No one else is gonna know how we did it unless they find this video. So, or you can share it with a friend, but that's what we're attempting to do. So now we still have a couple plainclothes shots to do. You can see the time lapse here, and also we've got the green screen shot, and I will talk you through that setup here in a few minutes. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. So here's my setup. I have a softbox, that's to provide light on my talent, which is my son. This is gonna light the green screen when we get it in position. This is gonna light the green screen. You can see my mounts and my chains. This is a Manfrotto setup. And so we're about to pull the green screen down, which is right up there. We're gonna put the white up, and we'll be back once we have the green screen in place, but I wanted to kind of show you my setup. I'll give you a better shot here of the setup. So here's high key. So this is kind of a 3 light I had set up for high key, and we're gonna go to a green screen now and try it with 3 lights. We'll see, we may have to add a light, so I'll be right back. Well, so we did the slider shot. This is my son. So here's a look at the slider shot. Still shot, snowboard shot. And then here's a look at the final green screen footage. And if you want to check out Nathan Bennett's social media, you'll have to message me. So thanks, son, for doing this. You want to say anything before we go?
No, not really.
Not really. We'll catch you on the next video. Enjoy this. Okay, so let's bring those photographs into Lightroom, take a look at one of those snowboarding shots, and I'll show you a technique in Lightroom that will help you out immensely when you're editing your high key photographs. So let's take a look right now. So here we have a shot that we took, and the first thing I normally do in Lightroom, this is not gonna be a Lightroom tutorial, so you just open up the photographs in Lightroom. You go from the library where you bring them all in to the develop page, and then we're going to minimize this bottom row, and we're going to increase this photograph. First thing I would do normally is crop it. So we'll crop this down real quickly and get to just the white background and hit enter. And now we have the cropped image. And then what I'm going to do is I want to turn on this little button right here in my histogram and make sure that that's lit up. And then what I can do is take my brush tool, click on it, bring up the exposure. You know, it just depends on what you want to bring it up. I usually will just bring it up because I want to see what's going on here. I'll also bring up the whites, and they're already up here because I used the tool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to paint in some white. And you see that I start to get this overexposure. So now I know that this area of the photograph is overexposed. I like to go through and make sure all of the white is completely, totally exposed. This is part of the C-stand that I needed to move in to get more lighting. So I'm going to erase that, and they'll start to disappear, as well as some of the holes in my background. And then if I really want those to go completely away, I can totally overexpose this, bring the whites all the way up, and they'll start to go completely away. So this is just one of the techniques that you can do in Lightroom. Click out of the brush. I can go up and bring the overall exposure down, and really get the exposure level that I want in the shot. I did shoot a little bit overexposed to be able to do some better coloring, to be able to do a couple HDR shots for him as well. So we'll take this overexposed shot, we'll kind of bring it back down to regular exposure. But remember that high key is low contrast. So a lot of times you want to kind of keep it very low contrast, more like that. And then again, take my brush, continue to paint out this background on the edges, and then I would go in meticulously. Then after I've done this, after I got all the edges in, then just to fast forward in my process, then I would zoom in very close, lower the size of my brush just with my scroll wheel, and begin to take care of all of these backgrounds, an area at a time. And it's very tedious work, but it gets the best results. And this is the end result of doing that kind of photography right here. Let's go to my recently modified. And so here's a shot of my sun right here. We'll zoom out, that I've already made sure all the background is completely white. Turn that off on my histogram, and then there is the shot. And you can see that I can perfectly expose the image, and with the white background, it really makes it pop. And here is the product photograph as well that we put together, and a couple different versions of that right here. And so those photographs turned out great. That's just a little tip here in the studio, how to use your histogram. Turn on the highlight switch and make sure that you can see where your overexposure is. And then use the brush tool to paint in some overexposure and bring the whites up. And you can take care of all the spots in the background, any dust or anything on your white background. And you can leave shadows in or leave them out, depending on how you want to use this technique. I just slowly use the brush, bring up the exposure, paint closer and closer into my subject. Just make sure that you release your mouse every so often in case you make a mistake. You can go back and undo. So I hope that helps you out. I hope you enjoyed this high-key photography tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed meeting my son, Nathan. So we'll see you in the next video.